Welcome back and thanks for joining us. If you're new to our channel, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be notified of each new video. In the last video, we started the floors by filling the corrugations with mini-cell. Mini-cell is a type of closed-cell foam known for its high structural integrity, high compressive strength, and low moisture absorption. In this video, we tackle the second layer, which is 1 inch of 20 psi XPS foam board. We then use that as a template to cut our plywood.
Good morning guys, today Sunday, it's January 3rd, about 8 o'clock. We're getting ready to go to the shop, continue our work. One day makes a big difference, all this lovely snow. Time to warm up the car. We get this guy started for a good 15 minutes. The joys of living in Quebec. At least the car started. So time to jack up the heat and we should be good.
Hey guys, this is Dory and I'm Mena. We travel with our lovely dog Fiona to help you discover the most beautiful spots and to share with you what it's like to live as a nomad. So subscribe and welcome to our channel.
You got your mama's sunshine, you got your daddy's rain. You're like a piece of heaven in a hurricane, and it's bubbling over like a sweet champagne. You got your mama's sunshine, you got your daddy's rain. All day long, right
On the last episode, we glued down the mini-cell. So if you haven't watched it, go back one video so you could follow the floor series.
We followed the floor installation guide of faroutride.com. There are some slight differences, but we followed the instructions laid out in their Snow Chasers guide. After the mini-cell is glued into place, they recommend 1 inch of XPS board and ½ inch of plywood in sheets of 4 feet by 8 feet. You'll need 3 of these for the Ford Transit extended length van. We're using 2 bottles of GE Silicone 2 to secure the foam board to the van and to help eliminate squeaking. We'll use PL300 to adhere the plywood to the XPS board. That will be in the next video though. Today we'll also be using a circular saw, a caulking gun, a jigsaw, and a utility knife. So let's get to work.
So we made this template and this is what we're going to use to cut the XPS and also the plywood. And we made this template pretty much the second we got the van. We had no materials yet, no netting. So that was the first project we did. And we're going to use it to cut the XPS 20, and it's going to come right on top of the mini-cell. The mini-cell took us about 5.5 hours to do it, close to 6. Easy work, but you know, just gotta do it. Man hours. Now we're gonna go cut the XPS. Let's do this. So the thing is with the XPS, you don't want to step on it or put your knee on it because you are gonna make a dent on it. So now we're gonna trace it and then we're gonna cut it.
You got your mama's sunshine, you got your daddy's rain. You're like a piece of heaven in a hurricane.
So the way we're cutting it is you trace it with your blade, your X-Acto blade, and then you snap it. And this is because we're avoiding making like dust. This thing is not good for your lungs. So we try to minimize that. still want to make sure you're doing a good job cutting your XPS. It's okay if you do mistakes with the XPS boards because it's more forgiving than your plywood. So in theory, if our XPS is a perfect fit, then we probably should use the XPS as a template to cut the boards after. We hope she fits like a glove.
Not really, but I understand why now.
Why?
Because I added an extra 3 inches to cover this part.
Yeah.
But what I didn't realize is I have to cut out that corner. And then we have to do a 1/4 inch around everything after we see that it fits.
So it's still not fitting properly, but the trick to this is measure, cut a little bit bigger, and then you try to fit it in and you keep adjusting. So you keep trimming until it fits in properly. So this is the 3rd time we're going back for the same piece, and we're just removing like small inches. So hopefully this is it.
Yeah, perfect. See?
Perfect?
Yeah, perfect.
Three times is the charm, 3rd time is the charm.
And then we're gonna cut that little piece there.
Today's episode, we're going to be installing the XPS 20. XPS 20 is a rigid thermal insulation board made with extruded polyestyrene. Cutting the XPS 20 is a simple process. Get yourself a nice sharp blade and keep cutting the same line over and over. Finish it up with a snap. My best advice is to give yourself some wiggle room. Don't try to cut the perfect size. Cut a little bit bigger, go back for a second measurement, and trim what you need. We purchased 3 big sheets for this project. One thing to consider, when you're installing your XPS, make sure you're cutting the biggest pieces as possible. The less pieces you cut, the better it is. They also come with a lap joint for a proper installation.
You got your mama's sunshine, you got your daddy's rain. You're like a piece of heaven in a hurricane. And it's bubbling over like sweet champagne. You got your mama's sunshine, you got your daddy's rain. All day long, right or wrong, you question everything. Why the grass is green, can I stay up late and why?
So we need to allow for a 1/2 inch between the wall and the XPS board, because that we're going to be filling with great stuff, gaps and cracks.
So in other words, what we're trying to do is to leave a small space like this where the plywood's going to be on top, and then we're going to spray foam the crack. So we're going to have a nice seal. Now that we're done, we're going to use this as a template to cut the plywood.
For this step, we're using Baltic birch plywood. We're going to be using the XPS as a template to trace our lines on the plywood. We're using a circular saw to remove the parts of the plywood we won't be needing. Make sure you do a straight cut because you might need them for shelves later on. After cutting the big parts of the plywood, we're using a jigsaw to make the precise cuts.
So it's overlapping a little bit, but that's because we have to make the dado cuts. And those are a little bit tricky, especially for us. We don't have the right tools, but I'm sure it could be done. All right, so today we worked 6.5 hours. I wanted to finish the plywood, but we kind of got stuck with the dado cuts. I don't have the right circular saw to do it. I was trying to do it with a chisel and a hammer, but it's gonna take me forever. Not sure about the job. So a dado cut is basically, it's supposed to look like this, right? So the two parts, they'll kind of latch into each other. So the other plywood will have the same cut, but on the reverse side, so it would lay on top. But this is where we got stuck because I do not have the right tools. So I think I'm gonna have to either buy one or figure something out so we could finish this plywood. All right. So that's gonna be it for today, guys. Last time when we left, I was trying to do this cut with a chisel and a hammer. Okay job, but definitely too long. And we have quite a few of these to do. I couldn't do it with the circular saw that I have because one piece is missing. But I have now a different saw, thanks to my brother, and I have the little lever to adjust it. So hopefully this guy will do the trick. I'm gonna do a practice cut because I've never done these before, and we'll see how it goes. After a few test runs, we finally figured out, we have a better idea of the depth that we need. And now to cut a straight line. This was the final test, so we're happy with the depth. And we did trace a line, and we went right in the middle. So we're gonna be ready for the real thing.
Big trips, big cars, and even bigger cribs. Never thought that it would happen just the way it did. Fast forward that now, it's just the way we live. That's good food and drinks. My mood makes you think that this life's made for.
Right, so once you figure where your cut's gonna end, you lock your circular saw, and then you just make a few cuts. We ended up making 2 or 3 lines. 3 cuts, and then with the chisel you go and you clean up the rest, and then we're probably gonna sand it to make nice and smooth. But like I mentioned, the important thing is the depth, so you always have the same depth on every single plywood sheet.
Talking about this high life, I mean as high as it go. That's kites, planes, clouds, the bank accounts that I own. Funny thing, it all started from a pen and a poem. Whoever thought that this could pay off all of my student loans? About to throw a party, invite everybody I know. Let me send a mass text to everyone in my phone. That's good food and drinks. My mood makes you think that this life's made for a king. The room starts to shake, so smooth if you blink, you might just miss the whole thing. It's just a different way to move in the high life. So many different things to do.
Or dado cut. Not sure exactly what is the right term for that, but so it's supposed to be aligned, and we want it to be flush. So right now it's not really flush, not by much. So we're gonna sand it down just to make sure it gets nice and flush until we like it. it's how picky you are. Right? It's how picky you are. We are picky, we like things perfect. So we're gonna screw it down. Maybe put some glue as well. And we just don't wanna have any overlapping, right? Because when you walk, you don't wanna feel this. So, and also later on, you don't want it to lift it. So we're happy. It's pretty flush, and when we're gonna screw it down, it's gonna be even better. Once all the plywood is gonna be done, we're gonna use the plywood as a template to cut the vinyl. And then we're gonna glue everything up together. So yeah, I figure maybe an extra 2 days. We're gonna call it a night because Quebec is under curfew. We have to be home for 8 o'clock. And the curfew ends at 5. Right. We're back at it. So we're going to continue on the floors. And yeah, not sure if we're going to be done today with the floors, but hopefully we get to glue some stuff. We'll see how it goes. It takes a long time for the shop to get warm. It's a big space, but we're getting there. So we're down to the final 2 pieces of the puzzle. Just got to make the lap joint. And it's just, this stuff is very straightforward. It's just measure, cut, sand. So it's just a patience. Yeah, so down to the 2 last ones. Minor adjustments, and we'll get back to it. We're sort of done with the plywood. Our next step will be to clean the floor and then glue the XPS with silicone. And we brought a vacuum.
Between the XPX20 and the mini cell, we added a layer of silicone. This is to prevent squeaking noises. We're not so worried about gluing it down because we're gonna have the plywood on top and furniture. Another step is done. And I would like to leave you guys with some pointers. When you're cutting it, use a blade that won't create too much dust. You don't want to breathe that stuff. You also don't need to fill up everything with silicone. Just a nice thick line will do the trick. Before you install your XPX down, make sure you use it as a template for your plywood. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned from our mistakes. The vlog continues on Instagram and on Patreon. See you on the next one.